Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks. Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Continuing Education, Certificate Programs, Certificate in Food and Nutrition, CFN, CFN to your food and its utilization, BLOCK-2 assimilation of food and its effect on growth. Activity, Unit-5 growth pattern and nutritional requirements. In this unit, you will learn that the nutrient needs of your body vary throughout the lifespan depending on the degree and rate of growth and development that is taking place in your body. 5.0 Objectives. After studying this unit, you will be able to times describe the pattern of growth from childhood up to adulthood. Times relate nutrition to growth. Times indicate the critical periods in terms of individual development and times list the food requirements in relation to body size. 5.1 Introduction. In the preceding units, you learned about a balanced diet and how your body obtains the nutrients it needs to function well. In all these units, especially units 2 and 3, you would have noticed that infants and children have different needs from adults. Although the principles of nutrition apply throughout the lifespan, you have to emphasize the need to provide enough food and care for the younger age groups. Young people from infancy through adolescence are growing, a characteristic that we adults do not share. All of us, in a way, understand what growth means. A child gets taller and grows out of the clothes you made for him. Within 2 decades of life, an individual increases about 20 times in weight and about 4 times in height. For a child to grow, obviously you have to give him her nourishment or food. In this unit, we will discuss the growth of children from birth until adolescence and their food requirements at different stages. You are listening to this audiobook on Audio Learn IGNOU. 5.2 Normal growth in children. Growth comprises increase in size of the body, as well as development and maturation of the organs and systems of the body. Whereas increase in size is visible externally, the development of organs and systems takes place internally and cannot be seen. Even so, this development is essential for normal growth and continues through childhood till adolescence. Figure 5.1a Growth of children at different ages. Look at the screen for table content. Figure 5.1b Growth of children at different ages. Look at the screen for table content. Figure 5.2 Increase in height and weight of children at different ages. Look at the screen for table content. Each organ or part of the body consists of millions of tiny cells. Each cell is so small that it can be seen only with a microscope. The cell is the smallest functional unit of the body. It is these cells which need all the nutrients from the food in order to perform the various functions. When growth occurs, the number of cells in the body along with the size of the cells increases. Thus, one increases in height and weight and becomes more capable of performing increasingly complex tasks. Along with the increase in cells, blood volume also increases so that each and every part of the body gets all the essential nutrients. Let us now look at the changes in weight, height, and discuss the specific systems of tissues like bones and muscles. Babies gain both weight and height very rapidly in the first 2 years of life. Usually, the infant will double its birth weight in 4 to 5 months and triple it by the first year. Its height will increase by about 25 cm in the first year. Obviously, the first year of life is a period of rapid and intensive growth. By age 2, most children are already half as tall as they will be as adults. It is difficult to visualize this, is it not? Individual body parts grow at different rates. The shape of child's body changes as he grows. The head of a 2-year-old is 1/4 his total body length, but in an adult like you, the head is only about 1/8 or 1/10 of your total height. Figure 5.1a and 5.1b depict the weight and height of boys and girls at different ages as per WHO 2007 Child Growth Standards between 2 and 10 years of age. You will see that the child settles down to a slower but steady addition of 5 to 6 cms in height and about 2 kilograms per year in weight. Figure 5.1. You will not see much difference in the weights and heights of boys and girls until they are about 10 years old. In the school-going years, you will see that the child's face changes from being round and plump to a more definite shape. When the child reaches about 11 or 12 years of age, growth is more than it was in the previous years. Notice in figure 5.2 that the weights and heights of girls will increase around 11 to 13 years of age, whereas the growth spurt in boys occurs later around 13 to 15 years of age. Most of us reach our adult height in the late teens. Look at a boy in his teens. You will see that his hands and feet have grown large before he has reached his adult height. In fact, the hands and feet grow to adult size before the arms and legs. During adolescence, the shape of the jaw and features also change. 5.3 Development of bones, muscles, and fat. Bones. Bones change in 3 ways. They increase in number, become longer and harder. In parts of the body like the wrist, hand, ankle, and foot, the number of bones increase. For example, in an adult's wrist like yours, there are 9 bones. A year-old child has only 3 bones in its wrist. Obviously, the remaining 6 bones develop during childhood. Bones not only must grow, but they also need to harden. Complete hardening takes place in the late teen years. The bones of a newborn are very soft and gradually harden as the child grows. The most prominent spot where you can see this softness is the top of the baby's head. The 4 pieces of bone that form the top of the skull have not yet joined together at that spot. There are other such spots on the baby's skull. This is nature's way of providing room for the brain to grow. Now look at the skull of a 2-year-old. The skull is hard and there is not much softness at the top of the skull. You must have seen that an infant can work himself into all sorts of postures. He can suck his toes or put his foot behind his head. This very lack of stiffness makes it difficult for a baby to sit up straight or hold its head erect. As the child's bones harden, it will be able to sit up straight. The child's bones not only harden, but also grow in length. 2. Muscles. Soon after birth, a baby has virtually all the muscles he will have as an adult. What changes during childhood and adolescence is the length and thickness of the muscles. Like bones, muscle tissue increases steadily until adolescence, when the increase is rapid. Look at figure 5.3. It shows you the strength of muscles in boys and girls over the school years and during adolescence. You can see that boys have much more muscle power than girls beyond 12 years. Both boys and girls get stronger over the years of childhood and adolescence, but boys show a much larger change, particularly at puberty. Some of this might be caused by greater exercise by boys at this age, but some of it seems to be due to the effects of hormones. Figure 5.3. Grip strength of boys and girls at various ages. Look at the screen for table content. 3. Fat. You must have observed that most babies are chubby and have a roundish face. This is because the baby has quite a lot of fat. Some of this fat was laid down when the baby was in its mother's womb, and some was deposited during the first 6 to 9 months of infancy. As the child begins to walk, run and play, especially in the school years, you will see that the child becomes leaner. This is because the child is now using up its fat stores. In the adolescent period, the body again starts laying down more fat. At this age, you will also observe a difference between the sexes. From the beginning, girls have more fat than boys do. In adolescence, girls develop more fat cells of bigger size than those of boys. 5.4 Development of other internal organs. Increase in height and weight involves many changes internally which are evident externally. But there are some enormously important changes in organs that you cannot observe. If these important organs do not grow as they should, a child's life would be affected because his body would not be able to function at its best. These critical organs are the brain, liver, kidney, and hormonal glands. Brain, liver, and kidney. Most of the growth of the brain has already occurred when the baby was in its mother's womb. This is why a baby's head is quite large compared to the rest of his body. By the time it reaches its 5th birthday, 99% of its brain growth will be completed. The nervous system also grows rapidly during the first 2 years, but growth is completed during adolescence. At birth, the liver and kidney are still quite immature. The liver, as you may know already, is your body's powerhouse. Your kidneys excrete waste matter and water that your body does not want. These 2 organs will be fully mature in the early years of life. 2. Hormonal glands. Hormones are chemical substances which govern growth and other physical changes in your body. Thyroxine is one such substance which is secreted by the thyroid gland. You may be surprised to know that thyroxine is present in the baby's body right from the 4th month of pregnancy. This hormone also stimulates brain growth. Another hormone which is important for growth is the growth hormone, which is secreted by a gland at the base of your brain. Throughout childhood, these hormones govern growth. During adolescence, sex hormones are also secreted. These are critical for growth and for the development of sex characteristics, which we shall discuss next. 5.5 Sexual maturation. In the teenage years, not only do one grow very rapidly in height and weight, bones and muscle, but other physical changes occur as well, bringing about sexual maturity. We can divide these changes into 2 groups. A. Primary sex characteristics. These refer to development of the testes and penis in boys and the uterus, ovaries, and vagina in girls. In girls, menarche, i.e., the first menstrual period, is a clear single event which represents sexual maturity. B. Secondary sex characteristics. These refer to breast development, growth of pubic hair, hair growth in the underarms, change in voice, etc. Check your progress. Exercise 1. 1. What is growth? 2. What are the changes in weight, and height of a child from birth to 1 year. 5.6 How can you measure growth? Having read all about growth and development, you must be wondering how you can measure growth. You can judge whether a child is growing well by comparing his weight and height with standards for weights and heights for children given in Figure 5.1a and 5.1b. To determine whether a child's growth is as it should be, we use mainly weight and height throughout childhood and adolescence. Other measurements, such as midarm circumference, chest circumference, and head circumference, can also be used. However, these last three are more useful to identify malnourished children and are not useful for children after 5 years of age. You can plot the child's weight and height on growth charts. Figure 5.4a and 5.4b depict the ICDS, Integrated Child Development Services, growth monitoring chart as per the new WHO Child Growth Standards. On the horizontal axis, you have the age of the child. On the vertical axis, you have the weights in kilograms. The new growth chart has three colored tracks: yellow, orange, and green. The children who are plotted in the yellow track are termed as moderately underweight. The children on orange track are termed as severely underweight, while the children in the green track and above are termed as normal children, as the weight of a girl and a boy of the same age would differ slightly. There are separate growth charts for boys and 1. Girls, pink for girls and blue for boys. Use the growth chart as a road to health. Remember that as the child grows, he should put on weight and grow taller. You should also see an increase in his chest, head and midarm circumferences. Practical Activity 1. Record the weight of either a 4 or a 5-year-old child from each of these a low, middle, and high income group family. Plot their weights on the weight chart. Record your observations on the growth status of these three children. Figure 5.4. A boy weight for age birth to 3 years. Look at the screen for table content. You are listening to this audiobook on Audio Learn IGNOU. 5.7 Critical Periods of Growth. All through this unit you have read and understood that our body grows in a set pattern with different tissues and parts of the body growing and maturing at different times. There are 3 periods in a child's life which are critical because intensive growth occurs at this time. If there is any adverse influence at these times, growth will be affected and will slow down. The 3 periods are: times prenatal period, 9 months in the mother's womb; times infancy, birth to first year; times adolescence, between 12 and 18 years. Prenatal period, during this time when the child is in the mother's womb. For about 40 weeks, it develops from a single cell into a baby weighing about 2.5 kilograms. Obviously, each and every part of the baby's body is growing at a tremendous pace. Among the different organs, however, the brain grows the fastest and therefore needs a lot of nutrients for growth. In fact, growth in the 9 months is unparalleled by growth at any other time of life. Since the baby derives its nourishment from its mother, you must ensure that she has an adequate diet. She must increase her intake of cereals, thus as well as vegetables and fruits referred to in Unit 3. Infancy. You already know how rapidly a baby grows in infancy. During this time, its internal organs like the brain, heart, liver, stomach and kidneys are growing and maturing. For example, at birth, the capacity of a baby's stomach is only 2 tablespoons. At 2 weeks, it increases to 4, and by 3 months, the capacity will have increased to 8 tablespoons. Since the infant depends entirely upon its mother for nourishment, it is important that a nursing mother has a well-balanced diet. The quantity of milk she produces and the amount of nutrients present in her milk depends on what she eats and how much. This in turn will affect the baby's growth and health. Adolescence, during the school years, you know that growth is slow and steady. During the teen years, there is another spurt in growth when the child grows taller and puts on weight. In fact, the child will reach his adult stature. Final development and maturation of all organs occurs especially with regard to the reproductive organs. 5.8 Nutritional requirements vis-a-vis body size. Growth is a major factor which influences food needs of children and adolescents. The child's diet also determines how well a child can grow. The importance of diet during different stages of life is depicted in Figure 5.5. The first intensive period of growth is the prenatal period. Therefore, at this time, the pregnant women needs are higher than before. For some nutrients, the increase in requirements may be 100% above her basic needs. She needs to consume more cereals, pulses and protective fruits and vegetables referred to in Unit 3. Unit 8 will also give you information about fulfilling these needs. Figure 5.5 Importance of diet during different stages of life. Look at the screen for table content. During the growth spurt, a child needs more food in relation to its body size than it does as an adult. Look at how much a 1-year-old eats. It is approximately half of what is eaten by an adult man. Since infants are fed mother's milk, the nursing mother needs to increase her intake of foods from groups 1, 2 and 3 referred to in Unit 3 to secrete adequate quantities of breast milk of normal nutrient composition and to maintain her own health. In the intervening years between infancy and adolescence, the child's food intake gradually increases as he grows. You may have seen that a 2-year-old child eats 1 chapati, whereas an 8-year-old will eat 2 or 2.5 at meal times. The next growth spurt, as you know, occurs in adolescence. At this time, boys will grow more than girls, and so their requirements are proportionately greater. But the adolescent girls are at greater physiological stress than boys, as they have to prepare for motherhood. You need to give them more cereals, dulse or meat, fish, egg, milk, as well as vegetables and fruits, especially the protective ones. Once the growth spurt in adolescence is over, food needs decrease. In girls who were undernourished, it has been observed that menarche is delayed. Once an adolescent crosses his/her 18th year, his/her requirements will be the same as that of an adult. Check your progress exercise 2. 1. How can you tell whether a child is growing normally? 2. Which are the intensive periods of growth? Why are they critical? 5.9 Let us sum up. Growth means increase in size as well as maturation of the whole body and its various organs. Throughout life, there are 3 intensive periods of growth: prenatal, infancy, and adolescence. Children need more food when they are growing rapidly. You can measure growth by taking child's height and weight. Other measurements like head circumference, chest, and midarm circumference are also used. 5.10 Glossary. Adolescence, period between the beginning of puberty and maturity. In humans, it is between 12 and 18 years. Growth generally denotes an increase in physical size of the human body as a whole, or any of its organs, parts, or tissue. This begins at conception and continues up to adulthood. 5.11 Answers to check your progress. Check your progress exercise 1. 1. Growth is increase in size as well as maturation of different organs and systems of the body. 2. A child will double its birth weight in 4 to 5 months and triple it by the first year. Its height will increase by about 25 cm in the first year. Check your progress exercise 2. 1. You can tell whether a child is growing normally by comparing his weight and height with standards for weight and height for children. 2. The intensive periods of growth are prenatal period, infancy, and adolescence. During the prenatal period, growth is the fastest as compared to any other time of life, especially of the brain. During the first year, the physical growth as well as growth of the internal organs like brain, heart, liver, stomach, and kidney take place. During adolescence, another growth spurt takes place when the child becomes taller and heavier. At this time, the final development and maturation of all the organs takes place, especially the reproductive organs. Thank you. We will see you in the next video.